Hello students, welcome back. In the last class we have discussed regarding the various etiologies and what is a cell injury first, regarding pathophysiology, what is the definition. Then we studied about various etiologies, what are the causes for the cell injury. Then what is a cell injury we studied. Now we'll discuss regarding the pathogenesis. So the term itself will tell you what is a pathogenesis is. Patho means suffering, genesis means it is a mechanism how the diseases are uh, mechanized. That means how diseases are generated inside your body. Mainly the cell injury, how it is generated, what is the mechanism of the cell injury, we'll be studying here. So before going into this, regarding the mechanism of the cell injury, we have to know how what are the various factors that will influence the cell injury. The first one is the type and duration and severity of the injurious agent. Type, what kind of a injurious agent, whether it is physical agent, chemical agent, or biological agents or immunological agents. So or whether it's a free radical or whether it's a radiation. So all this will influence the cell injury. Then severity of the injurious agent, how much severity it is. That means whether it is for longer time, it is effective for a longer time, or whether it is effective for a shorter time. So whether the injurious agent can cause the reversible injury or it is irreversible. Irreversible, mainly it is a chronic. First it will be reversible. Then if it is if the injurious agent will be acting on the certain cell for a longer time, it will convert itself into a irreversible cell injury. So first one is the type. What is the type of the injurious agent, whether it is physical, chemical, or the other agents, or it and severity means how much severe the injurious agent it is. Okay, the cellular response to injurious stimuli depend on the type, duration, and severity of the injurious agent. For example, when a dose of a chemical toxin is small, or when the ischemia lasts for a short period, the reversible injury is caused. That means if it is for a shorter time, mainly suppose the ischemia happens for a shorter time, the loss of breath or loss of oxygen inside the lack of oxygen in your blood for a short time, it won't affect more because it can cause a cell injury, but for it is reversible. What is reversible means it can be reversed back. It can be reversed back once the injurious agent are removed. That means once the oxygen is regained back, the cell injury can be repaired. So that is reversible cell injury, and it can happen for a shorter time. But when comparatively with the irreversible cell injury, so what is irreversible cell injury means which persists for a longer time. That means if the ischemia happens for a longer time, it can damage your heart, it can damage your kidney damage again, kidney failure, liver damage, liver failure, heart damage, heart failure. So it can cause the various dangerous or hazardous damage to your tissues or the organs. Thereby it can lead to a death also. Okay, so nature, state, and adaptability of a cell injury. So what is this adaptability is, we'll study later how the cell will adapt to the injury. We'll be studying it later, not now. Once all this pathophysiology get over, we'll study how the cell will adapt to certain injuries. Okay, so nature, state, and adaptability of the injured cell. That means cellular response to the injury also depends on the nature, metabolic need, and nutrition requirement of the cell. For example, the striated muscles, skeletal muscle of the leg, are adapted to persistent ischemia when easily get adapted. That means suppose it is ischemia, it can easily get adapted. The striated muscles, that means skeletal muscles of your leg can be easily adapted to the ischemia when compared to the cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle, if there is a ischemia, it can damage the cardiac muscle and can cause a death. So suppose if it's ischemia of a leg, that is a muscle of a leg, it can lead to a cramp or a pain which can persist for some amount of time. If you apply some ointment, or if you take a muscle relaxant, it will be fine. Later on it will be cured. But in case of heart, if there is a ischemia caused to the heart, that means the heart tissues will be damaged. Of course, there is a heart attack. Okay, there is a condition called as myocardial infarction. Next, the underlying intracellular phenomenon. The underlying intercellular phenomenon means inside the cell there are certain phenomena such as the biochemical changes inside your body, mainly the ATP depletion. So depletion of ATP in the mitochondria. If ATP is depleted, what happens? There is a generation of mainly the ATP is depleted due to the lack of oxygen. So lack of oxygen causes ATP depletion. The ATP depletion means there is a acidosis. That means the tissue damage will be caused. A disturbance in the metabolic activity and also transmembranal changes due to the damage to the cell membrane. That means the cellular permeability will be impaired. That means the permeability of the cell is changed. So it may be more permeable to some substances, or it may be impermeable to some other substances. So that means the cellular permeability is changed due to the cell injury. So it also affects the cell injury if the cellular that plasma membrane permeability is changed, and also metabolic activity in the cell is changed. That may be lead if the metabolic activity is changed, in the sense if certain metabolic substances are still remain in the body, it can lead to the toxicity. Or if this toxic substance can damage the cell, that you know. And some metabolic activity which is required as a source of nutrition for the body, metabolites are required as a source of nutrition to the body, so they are lacking. That mainly due to the change in the metabolic disturbance in the metabolic activity, that can lead to the cause of cell death. That means the required nutrition is not supplied to the organs or a tissue. The cell will lack that nutrition and it can get damaged. Okay. And also secretion of free radical. So free radical, mainly if you might have heard about antioxidants nowadays in market. Mainly if you are taking you might have heard about a capsule called as Revital. So if you take that Revital, it contains ginseng, antioxidant, iron, folic acid, so and so many things it contains. Okay, if you check, it contains vitamin B12, so many things, vitamins, and also these antioxidants. So what are antioxidants are? These will nullify the activity of these oxidants in the body. There are certain oxidants which will be generated inside your body due to this metabolic activity. So these oxidants, it may be due to the oxidative reaction or reductive reaction. This mainly causes the generation of free radicals. So these free radicals, once it is generated, it can damage your cell. So secretion of free radicals will damage your cells. Only you are taking that capsule which is rich in antioxidant. That means it will nullify the activity of the oxidant, that is the free radical in your body. So this is regarding the pathogenesis, the various factors which will influence the cell injury. First one is the type, duration and severity of the injurious agents. Next, the nature, state and adaptability of the cell. Then underlying intracellular phenomenon are the things. Next, the cell injury can be reversible or irreversible. So it can be reversible or irreversible. So most of the cases, the causes of the cell injury is hypoxia and ischemia. So in most of the cases, it is the hypoxia or ischemia. In other cases, the pathogenesis will study later. regarding the physical agent, chemical agents, biological agents, etc. We'll be studying it later, so that time we'll understand. So the next topic will go. So already we studied, that means all are the what are the factors. Now we'll discuss regarding the pathogenesis. So mainly I told that is it is mainly dependent on hypoxic and ischemic cell injury. The other things that is etiologies will go on studying later. So pathogenesis of reversible cell injury. Reversible means again the cell injury caused by hypoxia and ischemia can be reversed by supply of essential blood to the tissues. That means essential oxygen if you are supplying to the tissues. So what causes the ischemia and hypoxia? Due to the lack of oxygen, lack of the blood supply to organ, due to the underlying phenomenon, that means mainly due to the atherosclerosis or due to the thrombus or embolism. Thrombus means a clot, embolism means the clot will later move on, it will settle in the smallest part of the capillaries where it is blocking the blood supply to the organs, okay, or the tissues. So that is called as thromboembolism. That may be one case, or it may be due to the atherosclerosis. The sequence of the cell injury caused by ischemia and hypoxia are given as: first, decreased ATP production. So the ATP production inside your body is decreased. How? That means for ATP production, their ATP production mainly happens by two mechanisms. One is by the oxidative phosphorylation during the aerobic respiration, and due to the in other cases the anaerobic respiration. The aerobic respiration, the ATP production is more, produce is more compared to the anaerobic respiration. You have to remember that. So aerobic respiration, ATP production produced is more compared to anaerobic respiration. So when aerobic respiration is failed, the body will start producing ATP by the anaerobic respiration. That means by the generation of lactic acid. Okay, ATP, now we'll see this. ATP is the most important cellular component that is useful in various cellular processes such as transport across the membrane, that you know, that is active transport, passive transport. I think you have studied in biochemistry. So active transport, mainly in the active transport, not passive transport. Passive transport doesn't requires any ATP. In the active transport, that is symport and antiport, there are two mechanisms. That is direct active transport, and directly the transportation will happen, whereas in other cases the transportation occurs two substances in the same direction or in the opposite direction. So for all these processes, for the transportation to occur, it requires a ATP. So it is being uphill process, it requires lot of ATP, and the transportation will be very fast. Okay, transportation is very fast. Next one is protein synthesis. For protein synthesis also it requires ATP, that you know. Then lipid biosynthesis, it requires ATP. Then breakdown of phospholipid and motility in sperms, sperm motility, mainly the mitochondria, it generates ATP. Even your for relaxation and contraction of the muscles, it requires ATP. Even to move your hand also, it requires ATP. Okay, you can call it as motility and also the muscle contraction. Due to the hypoxia and ischemia, there will be retardation of oxygen, that you know. Hypoxia and ischemia, the lack of oxygen supply, lack of blood supply to the organs, and that causes the ATP production is less from ADP. So ADP plus phosphate gives ATP, that you know. Then glucose supply to the tissues also will decrease, and also reduces the cellular ATP synthesis as well. Glucose supply, the glucose supply to the various tissues also decreases, and also due to this cellular ATP reduction, their causes, first one is lactic acidosis. So as I told you previously, anaerobic respiration ATP is produced by the lactic acid. So pyruvate will be converted into lactic acid, which causes the ATP production, and very negligible amount of ATP is produced. The body will not get the required amount of ATP, which is required for the I mean for the various metabolic activity or various physiological activity of the body. So that causes the generation of lactic acid. Okay, so the term lactic acidosis means the accumulation of lactic acid inside tissues. So oxygen is required to carry out aerobic respiration. So you know, oxygen is required for aerobic respiration. Oxygen is required. Okay, decrease oxygen in the tissues due to the ischemia or hypoxia leads to tissue to carry out anaerobic respiration. That is, you know, problem. The ATP produced is very less compared to the anaerobic respiration. The ATP produced in anaerobic is less compared to the anaerobic respiration, due to which the glucose produced inside the tissues decreases and tissue gets accumulated with lactic acid. That is what I told. So lactic acid being an acid, the pH inside the tissues will slowly increase due to the H plus accumulation, that is acid accumulation inside the cells or the tissues. The pH will gradually decreases. I told increase, I guess so. pH will gradually decreases and leading to tissue acidosis. Okay. Then the nucleus also get damaged. The proteins will undergo denaturation and enzymes will be inactivated. Due to all these things, the protein will be damaged or the protein will be denatured. Then protein inactivation, then enzymes will be inactivated, and also the nucleus also will be getting damaged. The chromosomes will undergo the degradation. Nuclear membrane will damage. Nucleus will be damaged. So many things will be damaged. Okay, next one is damage to sodium potassium ATPase pump. So this is what I was telling. So we'll study about that. Okay, damage to sodium and potassium ATPase pump. That you know, sodium and potassium are a type of antipode. Okay, antipode system of active transport, where sodium will move inside the cell and potassium will move outside the cell during the time of depolarization. So the sodium concentration, but due to this pump damage, the ATP decreased ATP causes the intracellular accumulation of Na+. Thus, now there is more and more accumulation of due to this damage to the pump. The pump will be open for a longer time. That means the sodium from extracellular fluid will start moving inside the cell, and this causes the accumulation of ATP. Accumulation of the water inside the sodium also will be accumulated inside the cell, and also it draws more and more water inside the cell by the osmosis, and thus leading to cellular swelling. Due to the more osmosis of this, more movement of the water inside the cell, this leading to the swelling of the cell. Next is decreased protein synthesis. Then decreased ATP leads to the detachment of ribosomes from here. That means excess of the water accumulation due to the osmosis inside your cell can lead to the swelling of the ribosome, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum will get swollen, in the sense the ribosome which is attached to the endoplasmic reticulum will be detached. So detached ribosome will be present in the cytoplasm, and the ribosome which are required for the protein synthesis are not sufficient, and as a result the protein synthesis is lapsed, and this can lead to the decreased protein synthesis, and polysomes will be degraded to monosomes. Okay, polysomes will be degraded to monosome, and thus the ribosome will be dispersed in the cytoplasm, thereby the ribosomes will be unavailable for the protein synthesis. So next process is ultrastructural changes. Ultrastructural means small structural changes that you can find inside a cell. So what are these ultrastructural changes? What are the changes you can find inside the cell is, once again, the sodium, it will be accumulated inside a cell. The water will be moved in due to the osmosis. Then swelling of the rough endoplasmic reticulum, detachment of the ATP, then detachment of the ribosome. This lead to the protein synthesis lapse. Next, the clumping of the nuclear material. The chromosomes will be clumped. Okay, chromosomes will be clumped, and thereby reduce synthesis of rRNA. That is ribosomal rRNA is synthesis is reduced. Then mitochondrial swelling, that is due to the accumulation of water, the mitochondria will be swollen and the ATP production is lapsed. Then microvilli means you can find a small villi over the structure of a cell. So microscopic structure of the cell, if you see over the plasma membrane, you can find small villi that are called as microvilli. But due to this damage to the cellular plasma membrane, that means the permeability is lost. Cellular plasma membrane, there is some damage to the plasma membrane, and as a result the microvilli is not seen, that is disappeared, and there is a formation of a blebs. Blebs means it is a swollen region you can find over the cell if the cell is undergoing the cell injury. Blebs means the swollen cells, that means you can find it here. So these are called as this blebs. So this the swollen round bubble kind of a thing over the cell. So this is called as a blebs, membrane blebs. Okay, so you can find it here. You can easily read out this by knowing this flow chart. You can understand ischemia leads to the decreased oxidative phosphorylation, ATP generation is decreased, sodium pump, that is the damage to the sodium pump, influx of calcium, water and sodium, efflux of potassium also will increase, that is due to the excess opening of the sodium potassium pump, there is an influx of sodium is increased, and as a result the water will be influx inside due to the osmosis. As a result, the sodium the potassium which is present inside the cell will be efflux will be increased, and there is a swelling of the plasma membrane, endoplasmic reticulum, cellular swelling, loss of microvilli, and the formation of the blebs. Fine. So all these are the ultrastructural changes. Not only this, the ATP decrease also causes the anaerobic respiration, that is anaerobic glycolysis. Glycogen is decreased, lactic acid production is more. Lactic acid is if production is more inside a cell, that reduces the pH. The clumping of the nuclear chromatin, that is nuclear chromatin will be clumped, and next one is due to the increased water influx, the ribosome will be swollen. The endoplasmic reticulum will be swollen, the ribosomes will be detached, and it will be present inside the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, this leading to the decrease in the protein synthesis. Polysomes will be converted into monosomes as well. So this is, if you know this flow chart, you can easily write what are the pathogenesis of this reversible cell injury by just knowing this. Okay, just knowing this you can explain it. It's not a big thing explaining this. Sodium, anaerobic respiration, ribosomal detachment, clumping, influx, pH decrease. So all these things you can easily know. Okay, so this is a very important question. Pathogenesis of reversible cell injury and pathogenesis of irreversible cell injury, both are very important questions for the examination. You have to know. So first one, starting from etiology of cell injury, very important. Next it comes this Pathogenesis of cell injury, very very important. Then it is both the pathogenesis of reversible, pathogenesis of irreversible, both are very very important for the examinations. So we already studied about pathogenesis of reversible cell injury. Now irreversible. So what is the term irreversible means? The irreversible, the cell once undergoing the ischemia or hypoxia, which occurs for a longer time, that means it is chronic. If the ischemic agent which damages the cell for a longer time, the cell will undergo the process of the irreversible cell injury. The cell cannot reverse its damaged form to the normal form. That means the cell, once it is damaged, cannot be reversed. So this kind of injury is called as irreversible cell injury. Irreversible cell injury. The first one under this is mitochondrial damage. So what is a mitochondrial damage? So mitochondrial damage and loss of its function. So you already know there is excess accumulation of sodium inside a cell. So sodium and water influx, cellular swelling is done. Not only this, the sodium influx is followed by the calcium influx as well. The prolonged hypoxia and ischemia leads to the increased calcium, water and sodium inside a cell, and the cellular swelling you can find, and prolonged influx of the calcium leads to the formation of the vacuoles in the mitochondria, calcium crystal deposit inside the mitochondria. That means if excess of sodium, potassium and water influx happens, there is a generation of the vacuoles inside a cell, and that vacuoles contain the calcium, and these calcium vacuoles will be deposited inside mitochondria, nucleus, and all this will lead to the damage to the mitochondria, and there is a lack of the ATP generation. So degradation of membrane phospholipid. So degradation of membrane phospholipid is the main reason. Why? Because for this sodium and water and calcium influx, that you know. So membrane phospholipid will be damaged. How? Due to the activation of phospholipases. So lipases is a damaging enzyme. Lipases is a hydrolytic enzyme which damages the phospholipids. Okay, this damages the phospholipid in the sense the lipid breakdown will happen, and this will cause the increased calcium in the cytosol, and that calcium which is increased in the cytosol causes their deposition inside the mitochondria. Okay, mitochondrial damage and loss of its function. That is, first reason is the plasma membrane damage. How? Due to the activation of phospholipases. The phospholipase will damage the next one is the cytoskeletal damage to the cytoskeletal structure. That means cytoskeletal damage in the sense the cellular the proteins, mainly the proteins which will be inactivated. Increase in calcium in the cytosol activates the proteases enzymes. The enzymes causes the cytoskeletal damage, which is seen as in the sense the cytoskeletal damage in the sense, what is the cytoskeleton? Mainly the myofibrils, the microfibrils, mainly, which is the small fibers you can that is helpful, or myospindles you can find, or microspindles, that is the spindle shaped fibers, which is mainly helpful in the cell division, and that microfilaments or microfilaments we call, or myofilaments we can call, or microfilaments, and that microfilaments will be decreased. How? Because of proteases enzymes, and cell division is lapsed. Okay, cell division is lapsed. Cytoskeletal damage to the cytoskeletal structure, cell division is lost, and causes the cellular swelling, damage to the cell, and also final ruptures the cell. Mainly, not only this, cell division is left, and also mainly over the surface. Cytoskeleton means cyto means cell, skeleton means the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane also contains a few amount of these microfilaments. Okay, these microfilaments are also not only found in inside a cell, and over the plasma membrane also you can find. So due to this damage to the microfilaments, damage to the cytoskeleton, it will cause increase in cytosolic calcium, and this leads to the damage to the cell and ruptures the cell. How? Because of the proteolysis enzymes, and the proteolysis enzymes mainly released from the lysosome will damage the proteins, should damage the proteins, and also the cytoskeletal damage it can cause. Toxic oxygen free radicals. There are certain oxygen free radicals which is present inside the cell, and which can cause again the toxic free radicals, that is oxygen free radicals, if it is generated, that is mainly the superoxides, O2 dot hydrogen peroxide is O2, hydroxyl free radical, that is OH minus. All these are generated inside your body, which can lead to the ischemia, which can lead to hypoxia, which can lead to the radiation injury, mainly which is generated due to the ischemia, hypoxia, radiation injury, chemical injury, and also due to the aging. So all this can lead to irreversible cell injury, mainly the generation of the free radicals. How? We'll study that, how this free radical causes the cell injury. You can add that, you have to add that in the irreversible cell injury pathogenesis as well. Okay, liberation of hydrolytic enzyme. So once this calcium influx will happen, the calcium will now attaches to the vacuoles, that is the lysosomes. So lysosomes is called as a suicidal bag of a cell. Why? Because it contains various hydrolytic enzymes such as the DNase, RNase, proteases, then glycosidases, then phosphatases, and catepsin. So all this will be liberated from the lysosomes once the cell should undergo the injury, or cell to once the cell has undergone the aging. Once the cell has undergone the aging, the cell to cause the death, the cell to die, it should be liberated from the lysosome. So it will damage all the cellular components. Finally, it will lead to the death of the cell, and the cellular debris later will be engulfed by the macrophages. So this is the normal process. But in the cell injury, suppose if it is immature cell, it is not fully mature, or it is not fully aged, that cell, mainly due to the calcium influx, normally this will happen in both the case, but if there is a hypoxia or ischemia, the premature death of the cell mainly happens due to the influx of calcium, due to the membranous damage. The influx of calcium, membranous permeability is lost, in the sense water influx, sodium influx, calcium influx. The calcium influx calcium now attaches to the lysosomes, and the lysosomes later it will break down, and the broken lysosome will release all these hydrolytic enzymes inside the cytoplasm. And the cytoplasm, once it is released, it will inactivate proteins, it will inactivate other enzymes, and it will damage the cellular component, mainly the cellular organelles. It will damage, and it will cause the death of the cell, and causing the irreversible cell injury. That means cell will undergo its complete death. Next one is the free radical mediated cell injury. I told we'll be studying regarding this. Okay, free radical. So there are various toxic free radical which will be generated by various sources, such as the chemical injury or physical injury or trauma. We have studied it here. Okay, hypoxia, ischemia, and due to the aging as well. So all this lead to generate a radical, that is free radical, so which contain a single unpaired electron in their outermost orbit. That means it is highly reactive in nature. So the Other name for this free radical is reactive oxygen species, or ROS we can call reactive oxidative oxidative species. So these species are unstable. These are very unstable and they are highly reactive in nature. Being unstable, they are very reactive, and that means they are readily reactive with the organic and inorganic substances, and thus it can damage the cell. So you already know this cell contains various organic and inorganic substances. So due to the presence of this ROS, which is reactive oxidative species, it can readily react with all these substances, thereby causing a cell injury. Okay, so for example, some of the free radical, that is ROS, are superoxide, that is O2 dot or O2 minus you can write, H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, hydroxyl free radical, nitric acid, then peroxynitrates, then hypochlorous acid. So all these are the various free radicals you can find in the body. So generation of free radical, how this free radical is generated. So regarding this we'll be studying in the next class. So I hope you understood the topic. If any doubts you can ask me now. We are having a time of 10 minutes for the doubts, so you can ask doubts and I will be clarifying regarding today's topic or the previous topic. Whatever doubts you have, you can ask me. You can just send in the link below. You can send in the link below. You have to watch the video. Without watching the video you won't come to know. If any doubts you can ask now. In the below comment you can write, or can mail me, or you can WhatsApp me. Okay, so you have to ask the doubts. Without asking the doubt, so this topic is somewhat like confusing. It's not confusing actually. If you understood it easily, it will be very easy for you, so easily understandable. But sometimes it will be confusing, what is reversible, what is irreversible. Of course I had also faced the trouble when I was a student, and this is one of my very hating subject, but now I started loving it because it is very interesting as well. So just like HAP was a very interesting subject, even this is very interesting. And next one is one more subject we are having is uh, pharmacology, which will be taken by Saujanya madam. Even that subject is very interesting. You love the subject. So don't worry, you feel like it's difficult. It's not difficult. If you know the topic easily, it's easy. To know the pharmacology, you have to know the subject easily first. So you have to know HAP, you have to know pathophysiology, then only pharmacology is easily understandable. So let me conclude for today. So this is regarding today's topic. We have studied today regarding the pathogenesis of cell injury, how the cell injury is caused, and what are the various factors that can cause the cell injury. Then pathogenesis of hypoxic and ischemic cell injury, the most common one. That we have studied reversible, we have studied irreversible cell injury. Next, how this reversible cell injury is caused, what are the changes happening inside the cell. Next we will study about irreversible cell injury, what are the changes happening inside the cell we have studied. So let me conclude here. Thank you for today. Have a nice day.